Hi, welcome to the seventh part of the end of the Capitalism and Its Alternatives course. Well, let me take my famous pen. I like having my pen while recording these videos. It kind of relieves my stress, basically. But anyway, well, first things first. Marx and Engels basically in most of their writings they just end up at the point when capitalist system ends. Sometimes, in case of Das Kapital, the book we have reviewed, they don't even do that. They don't come to the very end of the capitalist system. But one thing we know is in their visions, at the very end of the system, what happens is the workers, and here we pretty much talk of the workers of the world, not workers of specific countries, take over the means of production. And they start to run those means of production by themselves. So in a way, they take control of the economic system. So this is the point, actually. After that, Marx and Engels both are pretty much thinking that whatever they write, they will be just predictions. In the end, workers, once they took over the economic system, they will rule out how the economic system will be run. And how it will be run, it might be run in a way, for example, where still payments are made according to the performances. So you might have certain people with high wages, certain people with lower wages, although maybe the boundaries will be, lower. Maybe they will be even kept high. It will be, the society will collectively decide how much wage should the people be awarded with. Well, will people have wealth? They might have stored money which they can use for consumption, but the point is, will they have wealth in tangible form, like, for example, housing, or will they just able to rent houses or rent automobiles from the rest of the society, and that they might belong to the rest of the society? It depends on the what people will decide, basically. It might be very well possible that the society might decide that just keep means of production as collective property and basically give ownership of the houses to the houses or other things to the people. It might also be possible that they might be just renting those things to the other people. In that case, of course, that means the house you own in is something that is rented, that is at least, if not rented for money, provided to you by the greater society. But will there be money? What will be its function? What will be how will be distribution done if there is no money? Will everyone be able to consume anything they want as much as they want? How will be the jobs distributed? How will it be decided who will work at what point? All of these things will be decided at social level. I have a lot of ideas on how this decision-making process could be done once society reached a certain level, actually. And we might discuss it. It's a fun thing to discuss, certainly. However, of course, this discussion, before we found the social system, this discussion is just at a hypothetical level. You might do this discussion just to fancy on possibility of the social system, and that possibility very much rests on actually whether or not people are able to come together and decide how to run the economic system. Once they have the ability to come together and they are able to discuss together, that won't be, in my opinion, that much of a difficult thing. Although we might have certain evaluation systems beyond the market, what is provided by the market, the price mechanism. Also, we also might need some additional tools to measure the performance of the economic system, as well as determine the needs and wants of the people, and also design maybe distribution and measure the performance of the workers, which might help us to allocate resources, give rewards to the people, and also allocate people, labor resource, to the different production facilities. So this new information, this additional information beyond current economic system, which is purely dependent on the price mechanism provided by the market, the central institution of capitalist system, plus this additional, this organizational level, this ability to become organized by the world population. Those might be the two elements that are maybe the most crucial ones to get the ability to build a social system. Although in one of his descriptions of the post-capitalist era, Marx talks on the intermediate phase between capitalism and the socialism, which he calls dictatorship of proletariat. What does he mean with that? Well, that's not socialism, certainly, yet, since socialism will come after that. That's not exactly capitalism also. The main point is proletariat. With proletariat, he doesn't mean, well, that might be something that sometimes consumes some people. He doesn't mean poor people. He doesn't mean low-income people. Proletariat means workers. So that's dictatorship of workers. And here he basically means workers that are working for wage. So they will have the full control of the political system. How will they have? Won't there be any other classes? Peasants, farmers, or the capitalists. Since this is an intermediate phase, we might have other classes. We might even have capitalists. We might even have still the private property at this phase. However, well, from what I understand from Marxian writings, which includes critique of Goethe program, one of his latest writings, but also the Communist Manifesto, one of his earliest writings actually of his more mature state. I get the impression that he means with dictatorship of proletariat a kind of democracy. I mean, the capitalist system, the most people will get will transform society in a way most people, and in the end, overwhelming majority will consist of workers. And once this overwhelming majority of the workers, they will get the political right, and even in political rights, and since they are majority in any kind of democratic system, this will give them the full control of the political system. Well, Marx means with that pretty much the global. He pretty much means the global workforce, although at his points he might think that only the world, the European population maybe could unite, basically. European workforce could unite, since the capitalism was not that powerful in the rest of the world. But in the end, he always says proletariat of the world unite, not proletariat of Europe or proletariat of Germany or England unite. Certainly, I mean, well, when we look to current democracies, certainly, I mean, we cannot name them dictatorship of proletariat if we think proletariat as a global force. But pretty much in Marxian, immediately after Marx, the struggles of the workers has been local, I mean national, not local, national level. And we might question whether these national democracies could be called as dictatorship of proletariat. This is rejected by both sides, I mean Marxists, because obviously those democracies in countries like Germany, England, France, United States, even maybe Brazil, Latin America today, don't lead to clearly lead to socialism, let's say. The majority of the population is not even Marxist in this. I mean, vast majority, let's say, not the majority. Even if workers are dominant, I mean, in some of these countries, the peasants were dominant, the farmers were dominant, but even if workers are dominant, they are not pro-socialists. Although, to be fair, left-wing ideas are more popular, especially in the urban areas where workers are more dominant, and right-wing ideas are mostly popular in rural areas where maybe peasants and old-fashioned production is more popular. Well, however, there might be a reason, as we have seen in these countries. These countries might think that continuing to, we have seen in the previous parts actually 2 lectures before, might think the workers in these countries might think that continuing the capitalist system might benefit them by providing an edge to the population of the rest of the world, basically. So, but we might very well question. I mean, this is the Marxian. This could be Marxian explanation why those countries did not immediately become socialist countries. But we might very well question also from a different political and economic spectrum, whether workers really don't want to replace, really want to replace socialism, capitalism with socialism. So, will dictatorship of proletariat necessarily lead to socialism? Will workers, once they have in control, slowly transform capitalist system to socialist system? That's actually what we can think of dictatorship of proletariat, and probably what Marxists think of. At this period, even though there is no full socialism, with political control at their hand, the workers will transform the capitalist system into the socialist system. Well, so 2 questions we might ask is, even nationally, do we need a global dictatorship of proletariat to actually have this transformation to be done? Second question, are these national democracies dictatorship of proletariat? They are mostly accused by later Marxists as bourgeois democracies. So even though there is democracies, actually the political mechanism is in control of the bourgeoisie or the capitalists, basically, according to this critique. But in the end, at least theoretically, with their voting rights, workers could elect any Marxist government in these countries. Of course, it is possible to make coups. The state might actually prevent Marxist parties to take over, but at least those rights are there. And if the Marxist or socialist parties could be elected, they could also be protected by an organized workforce. That's also possible. Once they are elected and once they have this legitimacy, they could be protected also, and they will have the political legitimacy. And certainly, I mean, even the right-wing parties need to appeal to some extent, at least, to the population. They might trick the population, but they need to appeal to the population. So this is the other question. I mean, can we say these national democracies are dictatorship of proletariat? And lastly, well, let me leave the last question for the next part. Anyway, see you in the next part.